Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The service department at Gala Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
And a pleasant good morning on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti. Happy New Year to you and yours, and we hope that you enjoyed the holidays. And we are right back into the Metro Tournament. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the UNM Lobos men's and women's basketball teams, and we'll get you caught up on the sports scene here today. I bring in my broadcast partner, Ed Nunez. And Ed, first off, how did you enjoy the holidays?
You know what? I enjoyed the heck out of them. I was off for about 5 days, and it was funny because
you're not used to being off.
No, I'm not. But I got some. Okay, 2 of the books I got for Christmas. One of them was "How About Those Cowboys." So I was able to read that. And the second one was "The Mamba Mentality" by about Kobe Bryant, which I'm still reading. So it's funny. And my wife said this because normally I'm up exercising, doing something, but for like 3 or 4 days I didn't do much of anything, and it's good. You need to unwind, relax. We did a lot of that, and it was great. It just, and the weather surprised us all. We don't normally get that kind of snowfall here, but I think that surprised me. And, I enjoyed the heck out of it, though. I really did.
We weren't here last week because of the weather. How about that? We actually had a blizzard warning here in Albuquerque.
Well,
I don't think, you've been here all your life. I don't know if I've ever seen a blizzard warning. I've seen snow warnings, but not a blizzard warning.
That was a really good storm. Then one of the, they closed down the city as far as city offices. Everything was closed, and I thought it was a good call because I didn't want any of my staff trying to drive through that to get to work and something happened to them. So that was unusual. That doesn't usually happen. So you know what though? We need the moisture. It rained again on Sunday, and we need all the moisture we can get. We've been going through a drought here in New Mexico for some time, so I think it's good.
You were talking about surprises, Ed, and we'll talk about the first surprise that we were talking off the air. National championship football game is beyond us. Clemson winning another national championship, pounding Alabama.
I watched it last night, and I thought it was going to be Clemson scores Tua through that interception. They score on that. Alabama strikes on a long pass, and so I thought they're going to go back and up and down the field. They had a good game plan that the Clemson defense, missing defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, you think without him that they would be at a disadvantage, but it seemed like their defense was almost better.
And if you can say that, and that's a heck of a thing to say, but they were. And so they pressured him all night. They flushed him from the pocket. The 4th down field goal attempt, or fake field goal attempt, I was just listening to Jim Rome on the way up here. He called it a terrible call, and Nick Saban said this morning that it was. So outcoached.
Well, the call maybe wasn't so bad being a fake field goal, but you got to pass it. You're not going to run up the middle for 6 yards.
Well, I heard him this morning on ESPN.
I think he made it a yard and a half before they got him. He got almost to the line of scrimmage.
Well, he said the guy that was supposed to block somebody didn't. They didn't execute it. You know, if you look at it, Dabo Swinney outcoached him last night. And you know what? You see Alabama, you've seen them lose, not very often, but never like that. Boy, Alabama got their hats handed to them, and that's not something that we're used to seeing. I was waiting for Saban's reaction on the sideline when Tua threw the interception. He didn't have a reaction the second time. You saw him say a couple of things, but it's usually the slamming of the headset. It's usually some kind of reaction. And you know what? I don't think that he could do that last night. Clemson came to play.
Well, the second interception was a misread because you had a corner that was just kind of sitting there and baited him into throwing. He got in the right position to make the catch.
But they disguised their coverage as well.
Exactly.
They did.
That's what I'm saying. They baited him to throw.
Yeah, give Dabo Swinney a lot of credit for that. He had an awesome game plan. I thought Alabama would win. I did. I did think Alabama would win, but I wanted Clemson. You know, because Alabama's been winning and winning and winning, and that victory by Clemson kind of, puts the balance back in order a little bit. Nick Saban, 6 championships he has already? Mm-hmm. So going for 7, he's already the greatest coach in college football history, right? I think he is. So I'm glad that Clemson and Dabo Swinney won one last night, or won another one.
Let's take a look at what happened. Speaking of thinking that you're going to win and not thinking that you're going to win, not a lot of people thought that the Lobos were going to win against Nevada the other day. Some people thought, in fact, when I saw that the line was at 14, then it went up to 15, I said, man, I wish I could put some money down because there's no way it's going to be a 14, 15-point game. And I said, there's a chance they're going to win this game. Well, not only did they win it 85-58. They led 38-26 and outscored Nevada 47-32. A lot of that had to do with a lot of bad shooting from Nevada, but that had a lot to do with what I call a very good defense when they apply correctly by New Mexico.
Okay, well, if you think about the defense that you're talking a couple of weeks ago, and I'll give Coach Weir a lot of credit because you see the sports speak up stuff, adjust defenses, change, he can't adjust. Well, they did. They made a good adjustment. They did it against Penn. They played some zone against Penn, and Penn still won. And I thought the rebounding out of a zone in that game wasn't very good. They rebounded much better. But I think one of the things that Anthony Mathis said on 610 yesterday morning was a zone defense is better with their size. Man-to-man, full court man-to-man with the size that they have, rebounding out of that and trying to bend down and guard smaller guys, quicker guys, it's not good. Remember, they had Antono Jackson last year, Logwood, Furtstinger, guys that, with a lot of dog in them, I said. And Carlton Bragg has that. But I'll tell you one thing, the guy that has impressed me, Mark Smith wrote about it in Enchantment Sports, is Jackson. He's starting to find his niche, right? And Manny
he had 18-10,
right?
And he was as aggressive as I've seen him since he came back.
He started that against Air Force, okay? And he started, you could tell, he's starting to shoot those shots and feel more confident.
It's one thing to do it against the little guys from Air Force and do it against a very, very talented and physical, athletic front court Nevada. That was a statement game for him.
I think the other thing was there was no hesitation because they were hesitating. And one of the things that they went 5 and 6 in non-conference play.
Right.
Lack of confidence, lack of chemistry, lack of cohesiveness, lack of some points I thought lack of hustle. But I'll give it to Coach Weir because if you think about it, in the paper he said this, the players were all behind him. And you don't see these spats again. I'm not saying every player loves him on the roster, but they're pretty much in sync with what he does. They respect him, and I respect him enough that he knew it was a mistake what they were doing, and he changed it. He even said in the paper, look, they had a bad coach for 11 games. I don't think that's the case, but he puts it on himself. He doesn't put it on the players. There's other coaches here, one that just left 3 years ago, that would always blame everybody else except himself.
Right.
Everybody knows who I'm talking about. This is a different thing here.
I think people do know who you're talking about. Let's talk about the shooting. It was 19-57 for Nevada, 33%, 4 of 22 from three-point range, 18%, far below their norm. Now, when the Lobos shoot decently from three-point range, 9 times out of 10 they win, Ed. And they didn't shoot great, 37.9%, but 11 of 29. In other words, they didn't have over 30, and they made 11 of them, and they were 31 of 68, 45.5%. That's pretty good shooting against a very good defense. And that's the other thing. Nevada brought in an outstanding defense, and the Lobos carved them.
Carved them up. I saw the Caroline twins, and boy, they had a hard time. They made a few shots, but they were contested shots with length in their face. So I thought I looked at Eric Musselman on the sideline, and I'm flipping back and forth between the Cowboys and the Lobos whenever I can. But I looked at Eric Musselman, the son of former NBA coach and college coach Bill Musselman, and man, he's one of the, I think he's a candidate, and we'll go into that probably later, for the UCLA job. I think that they should think of hiring him. He's a heck of a coach. But if you looked at his face during the game, man, and he said afterward, it kind of bugged me a little bit. We weren't ourselves, this and this. He didn't give a lot of credit that I thought that he should have to the Lobos. They weren't themselves because of New Mexico's defense. They weren't themselves because it was a pit game, right? That's why they weren't themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned lack of confidence before, Ed. Once that second half started, and even the first half when they were up by 12, the second half starts, things start to snowball, and you saw the confidence just build and build. And that's what this team has done. The game I saw them play against UTEP, once they got into that second half when they were down against UTEP, they start hitting shots. You see it in their faces. They just change. They get hungry all of a sudden. Then they're diving after loose balls, and that's when this team is better. So I think, building through the adversity, I think, has helped this team because when they're on a roll, they're as good as anybody.
I think one of the things that you make great points on, and I think the other key thing for New Mexico on Saturday, they didn't have the slow start that has really it's killed them.
And that was the biggest fear.
Yeah, huge. You can't have a slow start against Nevada. And you remember, Nevada almost made an Elite Eight, right? Or did they? Okay, so Nevada is legit. Nevada is legit. They thought maybe, final. What were they ranked, 6th or 5th last week?
They were 5th in one poll, 6th in the other.
Top 5 in the nation. And, if you go back.
And now they plummeted down, and the Lobos
to number 10, right? To number 10.
Lobos, I saw them as low as 18, but the Lobos didn't. That was actually the KenPom ranking. They fell to 18 from number 5. But the one thing the Lobos haven't raised, which is very curious to me, and that tells me, I don't know if it's disrespect for UNM as much as it's disrespect for the Mountain West.
There could be that, and I think it's probably the
because
latter.
You can't see this game and not be impressed.
Right.
There's no way. You can't look at this game, oh, well, if this would have happened. No. They kicked their butts.
No, they did. But remember one thing, and you would tell me this as well, those 2 losses to the Aggies, the loss to Colorado and the loss to St. Mary's are being considered as well. So show me more consistency, and we'll move you up in the ranks.
Now, I was thinking about this over the weekend for the show, Ed. This game for Nevada reminds me of when the Lobos went into Cincinnati my last year, which was 2012-13. They beat Cincinnati. It was the 27th. Go to St. Louis for New Year's Eve, play St. Louis on New Year's Day, and basically got rolled like this. Similar circumstance. Coach Alford gets kicked out of the game.
I remember that.
And
I remember that.
What a lot of people don't remember is how poorly. It was the poorest shooting of the season for Lobos. They couldn't hit the side of a wall. And that's how bad it was. And it kind of reminded me of the same thing because the biggest difference is I think offensively the Lobos against Nevada were better than St. Louis was against the Lobos. The Lobos lost that game because of the shooting. They couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And St. Louis made enough shots and they shot a little better, but it wasn't like they were putting on an offensive circus. Where the other day, the Lobos were putting on an offensive clinic, especially in the second half.
They were. I think the other player that I wanted to mention that's been playing better as of late is McQuatch Malawatch. They needed more from him. He started playing better against Air Force, I believe, with 14, played better on Saturday night. I think he has a tremendous upside, but he's not the kind of player that's going to be a give me the ball. He's not, he's still kind of a guy lets the game come to him. He's not going to go seize the moment, but I'll tell you what, that guy's got a lot of upside. There's no question.
I brought up that game, though, because the Lobos didn't drop that far down because of what they had done. Nevada starting to get a lot of question marks, and to me, that's the difference. But then again, the Mountain West was strong that year. They still had, I think, 3 or 4 teams make the NCAA tournament, where this year, I mean, Nevada can't lose, otherwise for sure there's the one bid conference, even if they lose in the tournament.
Interesting. I think the other thing is this, February 6th or the 9th, Lobos, go up back to Nevada for the rematch. But as I mentioned, Lobos have a game tonight against UNLV. So it's great to have a great pit win, a great victory. But what does it mean going forward? I mean, we can't just hang our hats on one game and, oh, we beat Nevada, great, they're the number 5 team in the nation. How are we going to finish? That's the way I look at it.
Well, let's look at tonight's game. You got a pair of 8-6 teams, both teams 2-0 in conference. This is for first place, baby.
That's right. No, that's right. It's a 9 o'clock ESPN game. Late start at Dreamstyle Arena. I don't know what kind of fans they'll get out there, what kind of fan support they'll get. Maybe 10 to 12, maybe. But after a victory like that, you know how they are here. You know how it is. Lobo Nation in love with the Lobos again. So maybe they'll get a good crowd out there tonight.
I will say this. People may not come to the pit tonight, which is a shame. If you have a chance, go to the game because the Lobos need you. At the same time, I got a feeling TV ratings aren't going to be that poor here in Albuquerque because I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on the TVs here tonight.
Well, I'll be one of them. I'll definitely be one of them. It's a late game. And
so that's where the catch-22 is. You'll see, unlike football, you'll see in the ratings, there's going to be ratings in Albuquerque for the Lobo game tonight.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Mark my words on that.
Yeah, no question. You know, it is, I'm sure I'll be in my recliner probably around 10:30, 11, trying to stay awake, but I'll definitely be watching.
Because this is what, come on, Ed. This is what a Lobo fan clamors. They're on ESPN, too.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. So it couldn't come at a better time. Great
exactly.
timing. Great timing.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of coming at a great time, we will take a break here, take a look at the top 10 plays of the week from Dreamstyle, and come right back on the Sports Desk.
Just barely, and Isles will step into a deep 3. And Steve, we've talked. And Caxioli changes mind midair.
Bruce's, they've made Volcano execute in the half court. Here comes Barton in transition. He got a number to Flores underneath for the lay-in off the win.
Ramos, a nice handoff on the.
Rebound and Hill, the freshman, tapped it to himself. In transition to Aragon, and he slams it home. If he wants to dunk in transition, send it in. Terry, good look at a 3 for Josh. Oh, what a putback!
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Talk to State Farm agent Greg Shamus today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car crafters, it's like it never happened.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlings, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
And we're back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. Alden Iowani, as always, our fine director. The guys are in the house as well. Jason Poole, Josh Brown doing a great job getting ready for the Metro Tournament. We'll talk about that here in just a bit. But let's get to the Lobo women's basketball team. They're playing outstanding ball. 66-64 road win over Nevada. How about this? 12-1. They're 8-1 at home, 4-0 on the road. And the Lobos 2-0 in Mountain West.
10 in a row, I believe. They've reeled off?
Yes, 10 in a row.
10 in a row. So Asia Robertson's been on a roll.
Their only loss was on the 11th of November to Auburn, 79-76.
And that game was real close. And Auburn,
Yeah.
Auburn's Asia Robertson has been on a roll for them. Nike McClure, they brought her in off the bench the other night. And they've got some size that they can use off the bench. They've got some athleticism. Jason Nunn has played well. Jaden De La Cerda, the sophomore. So, I really like what Coach Brad Berry's doing there. They had a good start last year, faded towards the end, had one loss to Auburn, and Auburn is Auburn. So Coach Bradbury has the Lobo women. And Nevada came in 4-8 that game, 4-8. So I thought maybe it'd be a little bit, they played at Nevada. And Nevada gave them a good game. They really did.
Right.
But Robertson, the Lobo guard, and Coach Bradbury talked about her decision-making. Sometimes it's good, sometimes, but you know what? She gets that feeling as a player when a player gets hot, like they can't be stopped.
Right.
She's going to drive to the basket. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes I'm thinking, okay, but she's so athletic, and she's mean. God, she's got that edge about her, man.
Right.
I like that. I've always liked that. And I think they've got a couple of players that have that edge to them. And they've got, and the roster that he has, speed, athleticism, and shooting, who knows how, and again, back in the day, Don Flanagan had some success here, right? He did, had some very good success. A lot of the players he had were very fundamental, right? Very fundamental within a system. Coach Bradbury's got a little bit different. He's got a few more athletes. They can stretch the floor. They can run the floor.
Right.
So this is, and Coach Flanagan's teams were exciting to watch. They got to the, I think they got to deep in the NCAA tournament one time and had a big throng at the pit for one of their games.
Right.
Coach Flanagan brought, I remember back in the day when Lobo basketball, women's basketball, back in the day before him, might have had 25 people in the pit. That included ticket sales and the whole thing. The ushers. Coach Flanagan, where did he bring it? Coach Sanchez.
He brought it to almost
did a great job.
15,000, 14,000 a game. And when I was here in the early going, 2008 to 2010-ish, they were averaging about 9,000, almost 10,000. 9,000 would be considered an average crowd back then.
Right.
Which was amazing. So, it's starting to build up. They started off, their lowest crowd, I'm scanning this, is 4,300. They had 46 at their last game, 47 before. So it's growing gradually. And I think the good thing about Coach Bradbury, the product that he puts on the court is very fun to watch.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I think with the crowds you're mentioning, the more that they win, I would be surprised if they didn't have at least 6,000, 7,000
Well,
at the
even
next
play
one.
impressively, which is the way they're doing, because even in the loss to Auburn, they played extremely well enough to win. So obviously, with one loss, they haven't been blown out. They're playing real strong. They've blown out a lot of teams, but this team is the kind of team that will draw fans, I think.
I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, they drew them back
Or should
then.
I say, should draw fans?
Right.
Because this is a deserving team that, in the women's game has come around a long way. This is an exciting, fun team to watch.
Yeah, every game that they play, very exciting. I look forward to watching them again. I really do. I haven't gone out to a lot of Lobo women's games in the past. I was able to see one against UTEP, and I thought they played very well. UTEP came out in the first and second quarter, and then they were winning, and then Mike Bradbury made some defensive adjustments on UTEP's best player, and that was that.
Yeah.
They threw a lot of athleticism and size at him. I mentioned Nike McClure. She's got long arms. Jason Nunn is a post presence inside. If she catches the ball in the post, she's going to score. So I think they've got a lot of great parts with that team, a lot of great chemistry. And I don't know how far they can go, but I'm excited to see. I really am.
Asia Robertson leading the team as they play UNLV this week during the week. 15.5 points and 5.5 rebounds. Jason Nunn, you mentioned her, 14.5 points, 8.5 rebounds. So she's doing it both scoring and on the glass.
I really like her. When she gets the ball deep in the post, she's got a nice little turnaround. Knows how to seal her man in the block. A great post presence there. And then, like I said, with Nike McClure coming off the bench, they got another player that comes off the bench for them as well. So they've got a lot of size and length and athleticism on their bench that really serves Mike Bradbury well.
Jayla Everett, someone that we don't talk about too often, 13.7 points, 4.2 rebounds. Nike McClure, 21.5 minutes a ball game. She's only averaging 3 points a ball game, but almost 7 rebounds. So she's someone who brings a lot of spark, a lot of effort.
I don't think you can measure her impact obviously on the points, right? Because the points are 3.7 as you mentioned, the 7 rebounds. But I think the contested shots and the shots that she alters, I don't know if they...
Yeah, 37 blocks. How about that?
Yeah. So,
but she's second on the team in rebounds behind Jason Nunn.
That tells you
That's
a whole bunch.
impressive.
Only in 21 minutes.
Only in 21 minutes, just under 22 minutes a game.
That tells you
so that's a
about her.
lot of
Yeah.
production. So
sure
like you
is.
said, it's not showing in the scoring, but you can tell just by the blocks and the rebounds alone, she is a force that asserts herself once she gets into the game.
I really like Nike McClure. I like the players that they have on that roster. So they've had a great start. Hopefully they'll have a great finish, but it's exciting to watch them play their next opponent.
We will take a break here and come back with more on the Sports Desk.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
Ah!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Dream Style Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dream Style Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dream Style Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or DreamStyleRemodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
This is Coach Borrego of the Charlotte Hornets. Hello to all you parents out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I want to congratulate 38 years for the AYBL. You guys are doing a great job. You've shaped a lot of lives, young men and women, and you'll continue to do that. Parents, get involved, sign your kid up. It's a great program. It helped shape who I am today, helped shape me as a basketball player, as a coach. So get out there, sign them up. Have a great season. Good luck to everybody.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot. It's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. Alden Iowani doing a great job as always. As our director, Jason Pohl, Josh Brown, they keep this place together as well. And we are catching you up on the high school scene. We're going to take a look at some highlights before we get into the polls, Ed. And unfortunately, the graphics didn't quite work out, so we're going to have to do it old school, just on camera reading the polls. But anyway, let's go to the highlights first, and we'll look at Cleveland against Capital. Cleveland, by the way, losing their first game of the year to Santa Fe on the road. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, we'll show you this as Cleveland came out shooting early going.
Josh Terry started the party going with a corner three. Always amazes me is a big kid, but he's got a nice scoring areas again.
He does. I mean, and he always had good touch, but it looks like he's even improved it more.
Very light on his feet for a big guy. Very light on his feet. And, of course, Cleveland has Mohammed, Munn, Nakai Smith. That's a loaded team.
Yes, it is. It's a very loaded team. As this was a very close game with Capital leading in the early going.
I had watched Capital against St. Mike's 2 nights before, and they took apart the Horsemen. They really did. But this is a different monster they were facing that night.
You know what was neat about that play? They showed that block. There was contact. They let them play, so they let the play go. I like that.
You know what you do? And you're right. You've been around enough basketball to say that, but there'll be some other people. Where's the foul?
There's going to be another people, but
Nice
yeah.
move by Terry again,
but
man.
yeah, I mean, that looked like a
right.
clean play because it was incidental contact.
You're absolutely right. You know the game. Oh, nice. God, that's nice.
So that's what I liked about that. So, I'll bring that up when it's rare that you see a play like that where it's like.
Man, this is the alley-oop show, huh?
Yeah, and it was still a close game, only a 4-point game, and Capital coming right back with a 3-ball. And, this was a very, very entertaining game. This was only the third quarter, but Cleveland started to open things up a little bit, and it's a big two-handed flush.
Yeah.
Threw it down there, so it's up to 11, then up to 14, and, Cleveland kind of riding from that point on.
Well, it's a different class of athlete. My son always reminds me of that, and Capital played 8-2 before that under the veteran coach Ben Gomez. He's been around Capital for a long, long time, the former College of Santa Fe star. When you're going up against Cleveland, it's Cleveland. And I think the other thing, okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. They did lose to Santa Fe. And,
I was going to say, James Iotis was at the game. He and I did the show on radio on Saturday on ESPN Radio 101.7 The Team. He told me flat out, off and on the air, Santa Fe outplayed him.
You know what? He was. I didn't see it. I read his article in the paper about the game.
He was extremely impressed with the way Santa Fe. In fact, James told me after he saw the game against Los Lunas, he says, "I want to see these guys play against Cleveland to see how they really stack up," and they end up taking control of the game. It seemed like talking to him that maybe if these two teams played 10 times, it might be 5-5, 6-4, or something like that. But on this occasion, Santa Fe took it to them.
Well, I think that tells you a lot because Cleveland, the number one team in the state. Now, Coach Jimenez said
that was a game that J.B. White didn't really score.
They didn't need him to. And
that's what was impressive because I thought he was their main guy, which in essence he is. But they did a lot of the damage without him.
He's as athletic as any kid there is in the state. But you're right, Santa Fe guards played very, very well.
And I say without him scoring. He was a presence in the game, rebounding and altering shots and all that stuff. But, I mean, what is he, a sophomore?
Sophomore.
I mean, that's impressive. So, Santa Fe with the big win. Back to your other thought.
One of the ththings that Coach Jimenez said from Cleveland, and they didn't have a lot of time to prepare because of the weather. No excuses, man. No excuses. But, it's tough to go up there. If your team hasn't practiced, Santa Fe won. Give the Demons credit. Zach Coles, the Santa Fe coach, is doing a remarkable job. They had a tough game in Los Lunas the week before. They dropped the championship up there in the Los Lunas Village of Los Lunas championship. They had beaten Los Lunas the week before, so that was kind of a revenge game. I could tell with Travis Julian, when Los Lunas head coach Travis Julian, when I was up there covering the tournament, that, man, he wanted revenge, man. He wanted to get Santa Fe.
Right.
And, I can just tell.
Right.
I've known Coach Julian for a long time, and they did. But I'll tell you one thing about the Demons. It's been a while since we've seen them. Back in the day, gosh, man, before Capitol was built, man. So, they had a drop-off, and now, gosh, they're, when you said that, you said that if they played Cleveland, James Yotis, who knows, he's as many games as, more games than anybody I know, if he said that it would be 5-5 or 6-4, that tells you something because Cleveland,
We didn't flat out say that, but the impression talking about how the teams matched up.
He thought they were pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, he thought that they were pretty evenly matched.
What does that tell you?
That tells me that Santa Fe is impressive. And talking to Coach Cole on Saturday, he said, you know what? These guys have bought in. And we're not even midway through the season. They're starting district here coming up. And, that was the biggest question mark because I guess previous coach, they weren't buying in. They were having some issues. And now this team is totally bought in to what to do and what he expects. And beating Cleveland, especially without J.B. White really being a scoring presence, that shows the other guys, hey, we can win.
Well, it's actually David Rodriguez, the former, his dad was a former Santa Fe coach, Bobby Rodriguez. David Rodriguez now at St. Mike's, so they flipped the script there a little bit with Zach Cole. And you know what? When people say buy-in, it's such a fine line about buying in, right? Are we winning? Is things going? It takes a special guy
in my
to have
case,
them buy in.
You're a basketball guy. Correct me if I'm wrong. To me, buying in means these guys will run through a wall for you. These guys will dive on the floor for a loose ball. These guys will give that extra effort. To me, that's what buying in is. And talking to Coach Cole, that's what his team's doing.
Absolutely. Look at the way they're performing right now. And, so it's a beautiful thing to see when you're winning, and that's a huge win for the Demons, beating Cleveland. Huge win.
Let's look at another set of highlights here. La Cueva and Atrisco. And on paper, I thought this was going to be a closer game than it ended up. And that tells me, Ed, that Atrisco, a very good team this year because La Cueva, not bad.
Cueva's got some star power, some
They
scoring
do.
power.
They do.
So when I saw this game, I couldn't believe that Atrisco really won going away. Kind of surprised me.
Yeah, outside shooting and...
There's the Isles kid, and that kid can really fill it up.
Yeah, and La Cueva led this game 7-0 early. It was 12-4, and then Atrisco, they just keep fighting. But a good block there by Isles, and outside shot for three, and all of a sudden Atrisco starts coming at you.
In droves and in waves. They've still got some Ramos and Gaxiola. They've got some, even though they lost Arroyo last year, they've got some good players there.
Like the way you roll the R's there.
Gotta roll it, man.
Arroyo.
That's the way to say it. Gotta say it. I'll hear it from people if I don't say it right.
Yeah, I know you will.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that Atrisco brought to the table last year, they can really hit the three.
They sure can.
Both of these teams can hit the three, for that matter.
Really like Adrian Ortega, the coach over there at Atrisco Heritage. Of course, Frank Castillo, the only coach La Cueva's ever had.
It's a three ball there to get La Cueva back into the game, but man, you can't leave these guys from Atrisco open.
And look at the looks they're getting. Oh man, gosh, man, hope that I didn't see that part. I hope he's all right. That's a great move there.
And that was a nice shift on the shot. He looked like he was going to shoot, saw a wide open man. And, that's the type of play that Atrisco does. They'll look for that open man. They're almost unselfish to a fault sometimes, going back to last year.
They're very good at that, though. You're right. Man was trying to, he did get it down. I don't know. I can't think it was Ramirez, I think. They have a very good starting five. That was a great block there by Tyler Isles.
But Atrisco just keeps coming at you, and nice dish there, and that made it 68-47. And that was all she wrote there. Let's take a look at the coaches' polls here. Manny Lucero getting the polls out last night. And in 2A, Texaco is number 1, followed by Pecos number 2, Clayton number 3, Penasco number 4, Mescalero number 5. Going up to 3A on the girls, Robertson number 1. Santa Fe Indian is up to number 2 now. Their record, according to this, 11-2. Robertson 13-0. You got Tucumcari number 3, Hatch Valley number 4, West Las Vegas is number 5. and St. Mike's at 6 and 7 is number 10. 4A, Las Lunas is number 1 at 9 and 3. Pewaukee, they're 12 and 0 and they're number 2.
Climbing, though, remember a couple of weeks ago they were 10 and 0 at number 5. So now
Yeah.
they're 12 and 0 at number 2.
Yeah, we talked about them being 10 and 0 and they were down. Now they're getting a little bit of love. Kirtland Central falling to 9 and 3 and they are number 3. Gallup number 4. St. Pius at 7 and 2, they're number 5. And how about Highland? They're 5 and 3, but they're number 6.
They started out a little bit. They dropped a couple of games since then. They were up, I believe, as high as number 3, and they've dropped a couple of spots since then. So, yeah, keep an eye on Highland still, though, because like I said, they've got Kaylee Crawford, the sophomore, is really drawing a lot of attention around the metro area.
In 5A girls, and once again, we don't have the graphics for you, so we have to do it old school. Rip and Reed, West Mesa, 9 and 0, they're number 1. Hobbs is 15 and 1, they're number 2. You got La Cueva, 8 and 0 at number 3. Carlsbad, 10 and 2, number 4. And Piedra Vista is number 5 at 12 and 2. Sandia is number 6 at 6 and 1. And once again, the records here, hope they're correct, they're according to the polls.
Kara Ingram, I'd say this from La Cueva. They're, 8 and 0? And they're number, what did you say? What number was La Cueva girls?
La Cueva's number 3.
What I think of, Hat Hoots. Robert Pereira's had them for, La Cueva head coach Robert Pereira has had them around that spot for, 3-4 years now. They won a title a couple years ago. So Kara Ingram, when I think of her, I saw her play a game against that Tyler Ortega covered against Rio Rancho a couple weeks ago, and she just had an outstanding game. So, you mentioned some other teams in that class. Cleveland, what did you say Cleveland was ranked?
Well, I was going to say, I did not mention them yet. I went to number 6, Sandia, so we'll round out the 10, and they are part. No, I'm glad you did, because I was going to do that anyway. Might as well round out the top 10 because it's all Metro teams except for Mayfield. Volcano Vista is number 7 at 7 and 2. Mayfield number 8 at 9 and 5. Cleveland is number 9 at 10 and 2. Very strong 10 and 2 team. And Rio Rancho is number 10 at 8 and 4.
Okay, so yeah, I was kind of wondering where Cleveland was, and yeah, you mentioned a strong 10 and 2 team, and I'll tell you, Cleveland head coach Susan Kabbalah can kind of tell her team we're here, at number 10 or number 9 at 10 and 2. Nobody respects us. You can kind of use that as a motivating tool and ploy if you wanted to, because they've had a good season. I'm surprised they're not ranked a little higher.
If I did that on purpose, I would have called that a tease, but I didn't do it on purpose, so
right.
Wasn't a tease, so hopefully I get a mulligan for that one. So anyway, Class A, 2A boys, Pecos number 1, Texaco 2, Newcomb 3, Santa Rosa 4, Magdalena is number 5. Pecos, once again, they've been number 1 all season long.
Pecos, yeah.
And right now they're 11 and 4.
Won the Stu Clark tournament, beaten, and it was ironic. Pecos head coach Ira Harge Jr. beats his alma mater, St. Pius, in the Stu Clark tournament, coached by Damian Segura. And that was quite a moment, man, because one of the best sergeants there was Ira Harge. Wins the title himself as a sergeant at 82. So beating Damian Segura in the Stu Clark tournament, he had some comments online, and I was very interested to read them.
Moving up to 3A boys, it's St. Mike's at number 1 at 7 and 5. Navajo Prep 10 and 3. They're number 2. Sandia Prep 4 and 5, number 3. Hot Springs is number 4 at 9 and 2. Tularosa is number 5 at 7 and 2. And you've got Bosque at 6 and 3, number 6. West Las Vegas 4 and 5, number 7.
Surprises me that St. Mike's is 7 and 5. They've dropped, I think, 3 of their last 4. And I was up in Santa Fe last week, and like I said, Capital 53, St. Mike's 26.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the game was that close. St. Mike's made up some points at the end, but Capital really took it to them. And it was a game that St. Mike's head coach David Rodriguez had said that his team was a little bit leg weary, and they looked at listless, lethargic, Capital all over them that night. And I thought they might drop from number 1, but they still hold the number 1 spot in Class 3A.
In 4A, it's Los Lunas, number 1 at 10 and 3. Gallup, number 2. Hope Christian at 4 and 5, number 3. Silver's number 4 at 9 and 2. Bernalillo is number 5 at 9 and 3. And Del Norte is number 6 at 5 and 3. And also throw in Valencia. They're 9 and 6, and they are number 7. Valley is number 9 at 3 and 3.
It's weird to me and interesting to me to hear Valley, Los Lunas, and Hope and Bernalillo in the same class. It's really weird. You know, I'm not.
And in
it
the
seems
same
like Valley
district,
doesn't.
no
Yeah,
less.
Valley doesn't belong there. Hope doesn't belong there.
Right.
Right. So it's taken me a little time. Del Norte started out pretty well. I know Volcano Vista took it to them, man. But the Hawks are a good team. So we'll see.
And finally, in the boys 5A, Las Cruces 14-0 at number 1. Cleveland 11-1. They're number 2. Volcano Vista third at 8-1. El Dorado is 6-2 at number 4. Santa Fe 13-2. They are number 5. Then you got Atrisco at number 6. Rio Rancho number 7. Roswell 8. Hobbs 9. Oñate 10th.
Okay, so you know I talked to William Benjamin 2 weeks ago for Enchantment Sports, and flying under the radar, man. You know, he's got them undefeated. They beat Las Lunas boys, and it was like what box score. I looked at the box scores, and it's barely there. And I'm like, man, 53-29. They beat them pretty good.
Right.
Las Lunas is a pretty good team.
Yeah.
And so Coach Benjamin, you know, they're number 1 right now. Think about them. So we mentioned Santa Fe, we mentioned Volcano Vista, and they're formidable teams. Heck, Coach Benjamin, if I don't mention them, I know I'm going to get some kind of message, man. Don't forget about
Well,
the
James
Bulldogs.
Iotis and I were talking about his team, and I made a mention. This reminds me of a couple of years ago when they were just loaded talent-wise. How do they do it? Defense. Their defense is ridiculously good.
You know what he said to me? Okay, so we talked about that. He played for Neil McCarthy, right? And I said, well, how much philosophy do you take from Coach McCarthy? All of it. Defense will get us to where we want to go. That's what he said. So.
Absolutely. And we will take a break to get us where we need to go. We'll talk about the Metro Tournament next on the Sports Desk.
The service department at Galley Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Galley Chevrolet.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS Network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or DreamstyleRemodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
Ah!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. You know what, Ed? It's Metro Tournament time.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I haven't thought about that, and I remember last Metro Tournament, man, and so it's gone so fast the year, and here we are again.
Yeah, here we are again. We're going to look at the brackets as we have the boys and girls. We'll look at the girls first here. Different locations. That's what I always love about the Metro Tournament. It's almost like the NCAA tournament, almost like the state tournament, where you have different sites, as you got West Mesa, Rio Grande, Cleveland, El Dorado in one bracket, Sandia, Manzano, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque in the other. Then on the other side, you got Volcano, Atrisco Heritage, Cibola Valley, and then you got Highland and Hope and La Cueva del Norte.
I saw some great matchups there. Manzano girls are vastly improved, but Vianney Cumber for Sandia, that is one smooth player. God, she's good. Pryor Broussard returned from an injury last year, so that should. I'm also intrigued by Cleveland El Dorado. Rich Harbin at El Dorado started out slow last year, but finished strong. West Mesa with Manny Otero is West Mesa, ranked. They got the #1 seed. Highland and Hope last year would have been a very good matchup, but Hope has lost a lot of players. They lost an overtime game the other day, but still, formidable team there. Del Norte, La Cueva, it's 2 first 15. La Cueva, we mentioned, undefeated. They shouldn't have a problem with the Knights in the opening round matchup. Volcano's got some young players as well against number 14 Atrisco. And Lori Mabry is struggling a little bit with Cibola, but she's starting to get some of her injured players back. Adamari Waddell probably won't return until February, and that's one of their better players. So she had to struggle a little bit early in the year, but I think they should be able to handle business against the 11-seeded Valley Vikings.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got West Mesa, Rio Grande, and El Dorado, Cleveland. That's at Rio Grande High School. And then you've got Sandia, Manzano, Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, and that site is at Albuquerque High. The games at Cibola will be Cibola Valley and Volcano Atrisco, Highland Hope, and Del Norte La Cueva. All those games will be at La Cueva.
Yeah, so they've got games all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I love about this. Let's switch over to the boys' side now. And when you look at the boys, you got Cleveland against Cibola and La Cueva Manzano. How about La Cueva Manzano? I guess former district mates, right?
That should be, oh man, back in the day, ooh, I just forgot about that. That would pack the house, that matchup. So yes, former district mates. Manzano started out strong. They won the Joe Armijo, running a couple bumps along the way, but they're a formidable squad as well.
Yeah, this bracket seating will be at Manzano High School. Games at Sandia will be Rio Rancho Highland and Sandia Atrisco Heritage. That should be a good one.
You know what? A very good one. Sandia's got the 13 seed. They're at home, but Atrisco, as you mentioned, really came out and unexpectedly, I didn't expect them to beat La Cueva as bad as they did, but that's a good team right there. So Highland has their best starting 5 in years. And so we'll see about playing Wally Salada and the Rio Rancho Rams.
Other side of the bracket, at El Dorado High School, you've got El Dorado, the 3 seed against Albuquerque. Valley facing off against Hope Christian.
I like that. I like it a lot because they're going to be in the same district and same class now. And that game to me, Hope has had a struggle early on, right? They played a tough schedule like they always do. They've got Nidafin back. They've got Dockery and Colin Evans, and this is a team that's won 16. They know how to win championships. But they've run into a few bumps along the way. And Joe Coleman had said this to me a couple weeks ago. They didn't do us any favor putting us in with, with Valley, with Bernalillo and Hope and teams like that. So here's their chance to, face the Huskies, who they might have to face later in the season. They will have to face them. So it's going to be an interesting matchup there.
Also, on the other side, Del Norte, West Mesa, and Rio Grande against Volcano Vista. These games being played at Del Norte.
Del Norte started again. They had a good start. West Mesa, up and down. themselves. They had a good win against Albuquerque High last month. They've had some success. Volcano, we mentioned, look at that. They've got the 2 seed. Rio Grande under Mario Armendariz has won some games as well, but they've got their hands full with the second seeded Volcano Vista Hawks.
I do want to point out, as we'll keep the bracket up here for a second, on the boys' side, there was a site change. Because of the construction going on at Highland High School, they're deeming that gym not ready yet. The gym's not under construction, but everything around it is. So they felt that it was going to be a little bit of a hassle for people to get in and out. The gym not deemed ready. So the semifinals on the boys' side are at Rio Grande High School.
Gosh, man, when you mention Highland, that's my alma mater. That's a school that, when you mention construction.
When I saw that on the bracket, I was looking forward to it because that's a great place to call games.
Oh, gosh, when you mention that, it's such, my heart flutters, man. And,
right.
Because I've got such
it's one of my favorite all-time gyms.
That's my school, man. That's my gym. I told you this, Cibola head coach Ray Rodriguez and I back in the day, he was 2 years older than me, would break in Sundays to play ball. I look at the window that we used to open, and I think we must have been crazy. Somebody didn't get killed or fall down. But that's how much, gym rats we were back in the day.
Right.
So when you mention Highland, I'm like, construction, Highland, wow, I got to go see it, but it's not the gym you said.
Right.
So, darn it, I wanted to see a new gym over there.
First time that I saw a game at Highland High School, Chad Adams was a senior.
Holy cow.
So went there with all the Lobo players, Coach Steve Alford and Craig Neal, and it was a blast. And that was back when the place got pretty packed.
Okay, that team that Chad Adams played for the championship. Marcus Franco, Eric Watson, Daniel Molina, and they just came up short against the Quave. And of course, I was reffing then, but that, my season was over, so I could openly root for the Hornets,
right.
And I did. And I was like, darn it, man. Last time that Highlands won was 72, and I remember that when they beat Albuquerque High. So, again, we're playing it down the line here, but when you mention Highlands, it's just a special feeling.
Well, we are closing off the show here as we've got a few minutes left here. Ed, looking at this bracket on the boys' side, since both of us see boys more than we do girls, although there's a lot of good girls action, on the boys' side, what do you see happening here?
You know what, Mike Adams, my 6'10", he's the host of On the Mic with Mike Adams, asked me this morning, what do you got? And I said, you know what, I think Eldo. I picked El Dorado. And, I think Roy Sanchez has Cameron Quintana. He's got the transfer. He's got some, he's got some good players there. And I just picked them, because, again, there's Cleveland, there's Volcano Vista. But he asked me, and this morning that's what I said. Now, does that mean they're going to win? No. But they got, their first round matchup against Albuquerque High. Now, Albuquerque High guard Jude Tapia scores about 26 a game. So they're going to have to, man, that kid can score. Jeez.
Right.
From anywhere. He had one quarter where I think he only had 7 at the half. He had 20 in the third quarter. So he can light them up in a hurry, but I think El Dorado's got too much for them there. And I think the winner of that Valley Hope game, they should be able to get past them. So I've got Eldo winning it. That's just my opinion. That doesn't mean that's going to happen. You got Cleveland to look out, Volcano Vista. There's always some upsets in the Metro. But if you ask me today, I'll say El Dorado's going to win.
And if you ask me today, I'm going to say Cleveland. Not because they're number 1 seeded, but because they're coming off of a loss. They're going to be hungry, and I think their focus is going to be better than it was when they went to Santa Fe.
I think you got a point there because they, one of the points to your point, when you lose a game, all of a sudden people come up to you, well, hey, you were running.
You get ticked off after you lose a game.
Santa Fe, you hear it all week. Santa Fe kicked your butt. What happened? And yeah, you get mad. Of course you do.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad pick either.
Well, Ed, it's going to be fun. We'll talk to you next week about this.
Yes, sir. We'll be here.
We want to thank Alden Iowani, the whole crew. Adam Deal in the house. We got Josh Brown. We got Jason Poole. All the guys doing a great job. Steve Davis as well. For Ed Nunez, I'm Scott Galletti. We will talk to you next week on the Sports Desk.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been.